Hello students, welcome to online lectures of Mumbai International School and Junior College. This lecture is for class 4, subject EVS-2, lesson Shivajis Education. Let's begin. Shivajis Education. Children, in our previous lesson, we have learnt about Shivaji's childhood, where he took birth, with whom he played and spent his childhood. At the end of the lesson, we have learnt that Jijabai and Shivaji went to Bangalore and stayed there with Shahaji Raje. Now, in today's lesson, we will learn about Shivaji's education. Here are some of the important points that we will cover in this lesson. Beginning of Shivaji's education. Rejuvenation of Pune, the achievements of Dadaji Kondev, Shivaji's education, what Veer Mata Jijabai taught Shivaji, the new regime of Shivaji, and Shivaji's marriage. Beginning of Shivaji's education. Children, Shahaji Raje, father of Shivaji, was himself a scholar of Sanskrit. He knew the language Sanskrit quite well. In the court of Bangalore, he had the patronage, meaning the power to appoint people to do different work and tasks. In the court of Bangalore, he had various artists who knew different type of work and scholars who had knowledge about different languages. Shahaji Raje appointed some intelligent and good teachers to teach Shivaji. Shivaji's education started when he became 7 years old, and soon, that is very quickly, Shivaji was able to read and write. He became quite skilled, quite good in reading and writing. Shivaji now began to read the stories from books like Ramayana, Mahabharata and Bhagavad on his own. That is, Shivaji was now able to read on his own. He did not needed any help in reading from anyone. He could now do it all by himself. After reading and writing, now was the turn to learn other skills which could help Shivaji in fighting a war. To teach him warfare, Shahaji Raje had appointed some teachers. Children, warfare are the activities that are done at the time of war. So they began to teach Shivaji to ride a horse, to wrestle, to use swords and dandpatta. Now, at the age of 12, Shivaji became acquainted with different branches of learning and arts. Meaning, now Shivaji knew a few languages and some helpful activities that could help him in a war. Soon, Adil Shah sent Shahaji Raje on an expedition, meaning a journey or a tour to conquer, capture the states of Nayakas, local chiefs in Karnataka. Children, they were basically the people, governors who were looking after some areas in Karnataka. Adil Shah sent Shahaji Raje to capture their states, their territories. So, before leaving for this expedition, Shahaji Raje sent Shivaji and Jijabai back to Pune. With Shivaji and Jijabai, Shahaji Raje had sent elephants, horses, infantry, meaning soldiers who fight on foot, a treasury, money of a state, a flag, and also trusted ministers, brave generals, and renowned teachers, well-known teachers who were good at their work. Rejuvenation of Pune. Children, rejuvenation means to rebuild something, to give something a new boost and energy, making things better again. It was time for Rejuvenation of Pune. Now, Jijabai and Shivaji came back to Pune. Shivaji remembered his childhood days which he had spent on Shivneri Fort. Shivaji could now see the lofty peaks, the high mountains of Sahyadri again. This made him happy. Pune at that time was not a big city. It was totally devastated, destroyed and ruined by Shahaji Raje's enemies. The enemies of Shahaji Raje destroyed the properties. Houses were destructed, demolished, that is brought down, destroyed. They also brought down temples. Temples were collapsed, broken down. The people living in the village were scared and frightened, and they fled. That is, they ran away from their villages. As there was nobody to take care of the fields became barren. Crops could not be grown on such barren lands. As houses were broken and places were empty, thick deep forests had grown all over. Wolves roamed in the countryside, that is around the village. Pune was totally in shambles and ruins, that is it was totally destroyed. But when the people living in Pune came to know that Jijabai has returned to Pune with Shivaji, they took heart. They became a little comfortable and relaxed. Jijabai called the people living there and reassured them, removed all their doubts and told them that they would be safe in Pune. Now again, people started settling, living in Pune and cultivating their lands. They started farming in their lands. Jijabai had repaired the dilapidated temples, meaning the broken down temples. And now, in the temples, worship of God began morning and evening. The town was again throbbing with people. Again, there were movements of people in the town. And thus, Pune was totally transformed, totally changed. The achievements of Dadaji Kondev. When Jijabai and Shivaji were in Karnataka, Dadaji Kondev looked after the Pune Jagir. He took care of Pune's Jagir. He was the Subedar of Kondana. He also looked after Kondana. He was very faithful, strict, efficient, and honest in his work. He liked justice. He stood for what is right, and he was a strict disciplinarian, meaning he believed in rules and punishments for controlling people. He served, worked with devotion, meaning he worked with love and loyalty. By this time, a new house, a vada or residence was built, made by the orders of Shahaji Raje. This house came to be known as Lal Mahal. To encourage peasants to till their lands, to encourage the farmers to work in their field, Dadaji Kondev gave them tax concessions. That is, they had to pay less tax, less money if they worked in their fields. He also offered prizes for destroying the wolves which infested the countrysides, which came into the villages and harassed, troubled the farmers. Many wolves were killed in order to get the prize. Dadaji Kondev raised peasant patrols to protect the life and property from the gangs of thieves who roamed around the countryside. He made the farmers keep a watch over the area by walking around at regular intervals to protect the life and property from thieves. He also fixed the land tax revenue according to the quality of soil. That is, people will pay as per the quality of soil. This also helped the people. All this made the people happy. The work done by Dadaji Kondev and Nizam Shahi Wazir Malik Ambar in the building of new agricultural rules and tax collection is considered very important. They did a lot of good work for the welfare of the people. Shivaji's education. As Shahaji Raje had sent some excellent teachers with Shivaji and Jijabai while returning to Pune, Shivaji's education was now continued in Pune under the guidance and supervision of Jijabai. Now Jijabai took care of Shivaji's further education. The teachers taught Shivaji many different languages. Shivaji also gained excellent knowledge about administration, that is, knowledge about running a kingdom, war tactics, war planning and strategy building, fort architecture, that is, how a fort should be built in order to protect from enemies, selection of correct horses and elephants, ways of escaping, running from difficult enemy territories and many other things. Jijabai was happy with Shivaji's progress in education. She was happy that Shivaji had learnt all these things very nicely and quickly. What Veer Mata Jijabai taught Shivaji. Jijabai was the daughter of great mighty Sardar Lakhoji Rao Jadhav and wife of brave and valiant courageous Shahaji Raje. She had the knowledge of politics and war activities from her infancy, from her childhood. In Jijabai, we could see the confluence, the merging, the combination of martial traditions, war-related activities like planning, fighting, etc. from both famous houses of the Jadhavs and Bhonsales. She had learnt all these from her father's house, that is Jadhavs, as well as from her husband's house, that is Bhonsales. She was a freedom-loving person with great sense of pride. She did not like to be controlled by others. She liked freedom and she was proud of it. Jijabai's father Lakhoji Rao Jadhav was killed in the court of Nizam Shah for no good reason. Jijabai took this shock very bravely, but she had understood that however much a Maratha works hard, however much a Maratha display their courage in a dangerous situation, the Sultans, the Mughals will never appreciate them, will never be happy with them. Jijabai had decided strongly that her son Shivaji would never work for others. He would build the rule of his own people, Swaraj. She was bringing up Shivaji with that ideal, with that value. She wanted Shivaji to build their own state, own rule, and not to work under any Sultan or Mughal. In Pune, there was a Marwal region, and the people living in Marwal were called Mawlas. They were very loyal, hard-working, and quick-footed, meaning they could do their work quickly and in less time. There was no one better than the Mawlas in working hard and handling difficult conditions. But the Sultans troubled them. They used to plunder, steal, take away their properties and money from their villages. The Sultan forced the Mawlas to abandon, to leave their homes. Nobody cared for them. Shivaji really wanted to do something for these poor and miserable people. On returning back home, Shivaji would talk about this to his mother Jijabai. She would tell Shivaji that Ram is the ancestor, forefather of the Bhonsales, Shivaji's father's family, and Lord Ram killed the monster Ravan and made his people happy. She also said that Sri Krishna is the ancestor of Jadhav's forefathers of Jijabai's family. Sri Krishna killed Kans and brought relief to his people. She explained Shivaji that you are a descendant of both Sri Rama and Sri Krishna. She told Shivaji that you belong to a family of people whose forefathers were Sri Rama and Sri Krishna, who fought against the wrong. So you can also fight like them, destroy the wicked bad sultans, and make your people happy. These words of Jijabai inspired Shivaji, gave confidence to Shivaji to fight against the wrong and wicked people. Shivaji would remember the stories Jijabai had told him in his childhood, the brave acts of Rama, Krishna, Bhim, Arjun, etc. He thought about these heroes all the time, whether he was asleep or awake. He felt that he should also be brave and courageous like them, fight like them, and destroy the wicked in order to bring happiness to his people. The new regime of Shivaji. A new rule, a new government of Shivaji began in Pune under the guidance of Jijabai. Shahaji Raje had already made preparations for this. When Shahaji Raje sent Shivaji from Bangalore to Pune, he sent some very powerful and prestigious people with him. These people were Samraj Nilkant Peshwe, Balkrishna Hanamte Mazumdar, Mankoji Dahatonde Sarnobat, Raghunath Ballal Sabnes, Sanopant Dabir. All these men were fit to help Shivaji to rule and administer an independent kingdom. Shahaji Raje had specially deputed, appointed them, sent them to Pune to help Shivaji to govern, rule the Jagir efficiently, properly. With their help, Shivaji began to administer his Jagir. Shivaji also attended the people's grievances and complaints. Those who did injustice, wrong to the riot, to the farmers, were punished. In this way, Shahaji Raje's Jagir was undergoing a transformation, a change. The Mavlas got a glimpse, an idea, a hope of future Swaraj. When Shivaji started governing the Jagir, the Mavlas felt as this was the beginning of Swaraj for them. Shivaji's marriage. In those days, people married at a very early age. So Jijamata said, we should now get Shivba married. Then Jijabai started to search a suitable bride for Shivaji to get married. Soon Jijabai found the girl she wanted. Her name was Saibai. Saibai came from the Nimbalkar family of Paltan. The two got married and the marriage was celebrated with great splendor. The marriage was celebrated in a grand and luxurious manner. Everyone was happy. This was all about the lesson Shivaji's Education.